Okay, I think we're going. What's up, everybody? Mike here, checking in for day 2 out of 100 days of making comics. You'll have to pardon me, I'm exhausted. Today is one of 2 days where I gotta be up at 4 a.m., and these days are rough. It's about 2 hours earlier than where I try to get up now, but it's been a very slow progression to being able to get to a point where this is okay and I actually can wake up at 4 a.m. without being completely dead. But anyways, it's been a day. I have some other obligations that have kind of got in the way of me spending this day exactly how I wanted to, but that's okay. Have some kind of house maintenance sort of stuff, and I'm on a time frame because I had to borrow some. Well, I guess that's the best way to put it. I had to borrow some materials from the. I guess you would call them the landlords, the building management or whatever. They loaned me like some paints and paint rollers and whatever. They're very specific colors that I guess we just have to use so that I could do some touch-ups around here. And I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, but it is now the end of the week, and so this guy is going to be showing up on Monday to take all the material back, and I haven't done it, so I had to go around our house and do a bunch of touch-ups and stuff today from our move. But now that's done. I had to do that because it's the weekend for everybody else. It's not the weekend for me and Mel. This is kind of like my Thursday, I guess you could say. But we're busy. We're going to be very busy the next few days, so I probably am not going to have time to do it. Plus, it was one of those things, like, just get it out of the way. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. Big chunk of my day was spent trying to finish the anthology. I got a lot done, like a whole lot done. But I'm not done. I have more work to do. It's probably just going to be one more session. So when I do my anthology work for the day tomorrow, I'm pretty confident I could finish everything else that I have to do. We had some extra surveys get sent in recently, so we had some extra questions to add to the editor section. I also had a small list of things to do that I had been meaning to get to and I just hadn't got to, so I checked quite a few off, but some things were just a lot more time consuming than I thought they were going to be. As things tend to be. So I'm not going to get into any administrative stuff for that. So if you're in the anthology and you have questions for me, please don't ask them here. You can message me privately. I'll be getting in touch with everybody very soon as I have all the information about exactly when books are going to ship out and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to put that here in this space. So that was most of my day. And despite it being a day where I get up early, it tends to be that the day advances quickly. And so I was left with not much time to work on my comic before I had to leave, which I have to leave very soon, actually. But I put in a solid hour doing my writing. Now, I had mentioned I had to redo my video, so I don't know if this ended up on the video yesterday, but at some point I mentioned that my main priority with Sisyphean Complex right now is to get organized because I'm very disorganized. I'm pretty sure I did actually get that into the video yesterday, but suffice to say, I'll recap. So I have a lot of notes and writings specifically on my phone. I also have a lot of writing and notes on Google Drive, and I have writing and notes on my computer, and I have writing and notes in notebooks such as these and binders and such. And this is because for a good month and a half, I was hardly ever at home. I was always driving somewhere and waiting for something, and so I had to make do and work the best way that I could. Oh yeah, I've got notes in my sketchbooks too, wherever those are at. I forgot about those. Well, I thought I had made some progress. I just realized I have some more to do. So I need to get those all in one place because yesterday I was looking for a specific scene so that I could work on it and I couldn't find it. I still haven't found that scene. I looked at everything. I can't imagine where it could be. Now, suddenly, I'm thinking maybe it's in my sketchbook. I don't think it would be, but it's possible. That's very possible. If that was all that I had, and I had a specific thing that I needed to write, then maybe I wrote it in there. But yeah, so I got organized today. I'm not 100% done. The longest part is the transcribing my notes. I don't do it the way that I used to do it. I used to be very methodical and word for word with all of my transcriptions, but what I'm doing for Sisyphean Complex is listening for a period, and then you know, digesting that information and then recalling it in new words in a more succinct way as I type, so that because I'm the only one I'm communicating with, so I know this story and I just need the gist of what it is that I'm trying to convey, the concept. Although sometimes I will dictate prose or scripts, like kind of verbatim, so some of that stuff I've been typing directly. But I have a long way to go. I'm only about halfway through my dictations, and most of that work was done yesterday. Like I said, I didn't have as much time today. I had about an hour. So nothing new has been written. I'm just organizing. It's the unfortunate necessity of writing. I was talking to a buddy of mine too, who is also in need of a concept artist soon. So my buddy might actually become my client in the very near future. A really cool project and a welcome one if he's willing to pay before some of the other projects that I have going on. Then he is the one that I'll be working for. That's kind of how I go. Unless I have a deposit, then I'm not working for anybody at that point. So I have 2 gigs that are supposed to be coming up in the fall, neither of which have made any kind of deposit. So he is like all in, ready to go. He's just got to get his script together. But we had kind of like, he's a friend, so we were talking for a while, but we also had a bit of like a, what would you call that? Like a preliminary meeting, and there's a word for it that's completely escaping me now because I'm so tired. But I listened to his project and what it might entail, and now I'm going to get back to him with a quote, and we're going to go from there. So that's cool. Has nothing to do with my comic. In fact, it's going to take away time from my comic, but that's the price you have to pay for wanting to make a living with your art. It can't always be with your own art. So, and I need to make some money. So that is the plan for the fall. That's when my work mode turns on. So that's good. It's good to know that there's a third job on the horizon. So if even if 2 fall through, there's still 1, and I'll go from there. But anyways, no, I was talking to him, and we're sharing very similar thoughts about the creative process, and that a lot of times people don't even really fully grasp everything that goes into creative endeavors, and sometimes it's the most mundane things that take the most time. Things like getting organized, things like staring at a wall until an idea comes to you. I think it was Stephen King, I think, wrote that. Perhaps it was Walt Whitman, some writer, but it was a really great quote that something along the lines of 90% of writing is staring at a wall, waiting for the right word to come to you, or something like that. Which I lean on the side of like, do the work and the inspiration will come through the work, but I also agree with that to a point. Like you can't force your brain sometimes. Like sometimes you do have to meditate and contemplate in order for things to fall into place. And I was telling him how interesting it is because he has always been a very sporadic, kind of scatterbrained kind of dude, and he was telling me that for years he's had all these little pieces, and that he was frustrated with this story and he was working on it for a long time, and finally he just kind of gave up because he couldn't make sense of it all. And so a couple of years had passed, and I guess recently he went back looking through the notes and things started to click. Suddenly he realized that if he just moved this scene over here and this over there, and that could connect to that, and blah 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 blah, it was a popcorn effect, and suddenly he just the whole idea was there, the whole thing, and it just came very quickly, and now it all made sense. And I was telling him, oftentimes that is the nature of art, especially because we're creating things that don't exist. So unless you're going about it in a very formulaic way, which I particularly find very boring, you can't just take something like a structure, like the Dan Harmon story circle is the latest trend, or the Save the Cat formula. You can't just take one of those formulas and just sit down and literally just plug things in to the end. Like, you'll get a story and that's fine, but it won't have a life and a vibrance that a story has, that's like just from your heart, that you just regurgitate and fix later. I find those to be more interesting approach, at least for me. I already agree to each his own. So if you don't work that way, I'm not judging or anything like that. I'm just saying, for my own taste and the way I like to work, I like to passionately thrash about at an idea and then tape it together and fix it later. So this applies to me and kind of where I'm at. I've been working on this story for a couple years now. I haven't been working on it every single day, hence doing the challenge now. But I am at a point where I have a lot of pieces. Some of them broken, some of them juxtaposed in ways that aren't working or could work better. And a lot of what I need to do right now before I can move forward is clean up and sort things together, figure out the best way that they can fit, and get rid of the stuff that no longer makes sense. Get rid of the things that were, directions that the story was going but isn't anymore. Characters that aren't needed or characters that are, that kind of thing. Because this is the way that I work. I pursue an idea. I pursue a message. I pursue a theme, sometimes an aesthetic, and the plot and everything else kind of I create it to serve that. And so now that core, that essence of what it is and what it's trying to say is solidified, now it's time to refine the delivery method. How do we tell that story? How do we get that message across and in an interesting way? There's a lot of content that I have, and I need to sort through it and curate it, and then I can go from there. But also, like I was talking with him about, is like, it's not all, you can't, I feel like for me, I can't always just focus on one thing all the time and just do that one thing and have everything kind of go in a nice, neat order. I feel like a lot of times I will start writing and that will inspire me to want to draw. And so then I'll draw and that will inspire me to want to write. So this is just one phase among many on this journey. I'm very, very disappointed that I wasn't able to get to any artwork today. That's stressing me out. But I'm hoping that by doing this challenge and committing to this daily habit of showing up, that at some point my routine, my regimen becomes more solid as well, and that I'm able to fit in both writing and art just by virtue of committing to a process. I am not a person who, very rarely have I ever been able to spend a long period of time writing, like an entire day or something. I don't think that's rarely ever happened, if ever. More often than not, I will spend a couple hours. That seems to be about all that I can manage. Mentally, I'm exhausted at that point. I can't think about what I'm trying to think about anymore. Even if the ideas are still fresh in my head and screaming to get out, I just have to put a stop to it and come back, because I for whatever reason, it's like my hand-body connection, my mind-body connection is out of sync at that point. I want to type, but suddenly I get sluggish and tired and burned out very quickly. Except for the rare occasion where ideas just won't leave me alone. And then it's like everywhere I go, I have a little notebook or a sketchbook and I'm writing things down. But in short bursts. It's one thing to write a little idea down in a short burst. It's another thing to sit down and do the work of writing. That's a much different story. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. I guess in summary, if I were to come up with a tangible explanation for my time today, made amazing progress on the anthology. It is almost done now. I failed to mention I also finalized my bookmarks, which, I mean, that's like just fancy wording for I saved the file in the correct format and size and cropped it and all that and got it ready to submit to the printer, which I believe I'm going through Catprint. It's a minor task, but it takes time. Everything takes time, and it's another drop in the bucket of things that I need to do to put this book to bed and move on to the next chapter. So that's good. It was worth doing. I checked some things off of my list of things to do for the anthology as well, as far as the book itself is concerned. And I did much organization for my book today, my book Se5 Complex. Not as much as I would have liked to, but I'm making progress, and it's those little bits every day that count the most. Last thing before I go, I'm doing this kind of early because I'm out of time. I need to go and pick up my wife. My sister-in-law and her husband are at a car show, which is the opposite of things that I'm interested in. However, I am interested in art and drawing and reference and all of that. And Josh, my brother-in-law, he is super into cars. I mean, someday maybe I'll be able to get a little video of like his man cave. He's got all these little model cars. You can point to any last one of them and he could tell you exactly what that car is, what year it was made, what engine it's got, who made it, like not just the company but the person. Like he is, it's like him. It's like him with me and comics. Like he came here and he was looking around and stuff, and he can point at any comic on my wall and I could tell you a story about it. That's how he is with cars. So there's a car show in town. He really would like us to come, and even if we didn't come to that, they really want to go to dinner with us tonight. So that is a social obligation. I have to go and do that. I hope, fingers crossed, that I will be able to come home and continue to work on Sisyphine Complex, continue to work on whether it's writing or drawing or something, and rest assured that I will. There is no doubt in my mind that I will be able to, although today and tomorrow are my early days. So I woke up at 4 a.m. I'm going to get into bed by hopefully around 10. And then I got to do it all again tomorrow. So we'll see. But I'm counting on at least having another hour at the end of the day that hopefully I could get some art in as well, because that bothers me when I can't draw every day. It really bugs me. So that's all for now. Thank you for checking in. I promise this is going to get more visually exciting at some point. I'm ramping up. Like I mentioned in my intro, I am starting at the bottom. I was very clear when I started that I'm not in a good place. I have no routine. I have a bad attitude and bad habits, and I don't have a good system in place yet. I'm working on it. That's why I'm doing the challenge. That's also why I'm not posting it on YouTube, because this isn't for entertainment. This is literally for me to get my shit together and get this comic going. But mark my words, when I get going, I really get going. And it's going to be a wild ride. You can count on that. So that said, I'm going to go. Because I have to pick up my wife. She's going to be getting antsy now if she doesn't hear from me that I've left yet. And hope you're all having an awesome weekend. Enjoy it. Work hard on your comics. Also remember to spend time with the ones that you love. Life is short. You got to make those memories. That's something that I've learned, and that I wish I kind of knew sooner. So despite the fact that I'm upset I can't work on my comic as much as I'd like to today, I'm looking forward to seeing my family and having dinner with them and checking out some cool cars, because my brother-in-law's into that. That's his passion. That's what he's into. I spend so much time talking about myself and everything that I love, and it's nice to appreciate somebody else and appreciate something that someone else loves as much as you love something else. I'm sure I could have put that into better words, but I think you know what I mean. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow. This has been day 2. Peace and good tidings. And how do I turn this thing off? Here we go.